Hello, look what we have here. Some of us have been waiting for the Gamechanger Audio Recoder for a while now, but mine finally arrived, so I wanted to do a quick exploration of what you can do with this strange, self-described spectral morphing workstation. Let's take a brief look at what it is, what it's not, and see what happens when we use a classic beat to haunt some synth chords. Basically, Recoder lets you use the properties of one sound to affect another. This includes simpler examples like traditional sidechaining, vocoder, but also timbre and resonance. It can record, but it's not a looper, as those recordings are used as donors to warp whatever you put through the input. It's kind of like a seance or a sonic possession, where one sound invokes or is overtaken by the spirit of another. As an example, I thought it would be fun to bring out the classic Casio SK-1. I'll use the Recoder to capture one of these nostalgia-laden Casio rhythms. There, now I can press both foot switches to hear the beat we just recorded. Because we're in loop mode, that beat is actually still playing when I let go, but we can't hear it. That's because it needs something coming through the input to affect or haunt, as our analogy goes. I prepared a simple chord progression on the SK-1, which I can trigger to keep my hands free. Now, as that loops, I can use Recoder's 3 color-coded layer modes to change how our previously recorded beat haunts this new sound. First, we'll look at the white layer, which uses the recorded loop, in this case our beat, to shape what we put through the input, our synth chords. Here, I can use amplitude to sidechain the chord progression based on the loop. Or do things like have the synth take on the timbre of the beat. As with all these parameters, a little goes a long way. Without an overall mix control, you've got to be subtle with each one if you don't want to get too choppy or distorted. In my experience so far, the yellow layer is where the magic really happens, as it handles the signal generated from these two sounds merging via overlapping spectral slices, resonance, as well as delay or reverb options. Basically, here's where things can get ambient. Lastly, we have the red layer, where we can alter the recorded donor loop, our beat, which in turn changes how it is processed by the other layers. Very easy to go overboard here, as this is where things get gnarly. Let's adjust the tone of the beat, dial in a touch of bit crushing, and maybe slow it down a bit. As with before, we can hold both stomp switches to solo our recorded loop and hear these red layer changes. You can hear how the beat is now slower and more gritty based on what we've done here. Curiously, this is the only way I've found to hear just the recorded loop. I'll keep looping this chord progression for a bit while I adjust some other parameters in more extreme ways. And there you have it, a Casio beat imparting sonic qualities to an overlaid synth progression. To recap, think of the recorded loop as a ghost. White controls how much it haunts the input signal, red alters the ghost itself, and yellow adds ambience where the two merge. This is just one example of how I've been learning to use my recorder since I received it, but we're really just scratching the surface. There are a couple things I'm still trying to figure out. The output routing on my unit doesn't currently behave the way the manual described, and a few other folks have reported the same thing. For example, with nothing connected to the record input, we're supposed to be able to have separate wet and dry signals via the two outputs. But in my tests, it's just being the same signal from both jacks. Here's one. And here's the other. I don't hear a wet or dry there, just both. I'm waiting to hear back from Gamechanger before deciding whether that's a bug or a misunderstanding on my part. Have you noticed any of this too, or am I just missing something or misreading the manual? Did you manage to snag a recoder during the order window? Anything you'd like to see me do with mine? Let me know in the comments. In the meantime, I'll be recoding.